In the name of Almighty Allah, the entirely merciful and specially merciful, welcome back, dear students, to today's lecture. Today we are going to be studying a sentence, capitalization, and punctuation. This is the fifth lecture of academic report writing. So I hope you are so far following all the lectures and you are benefiting from the uploaded lectures. So let's get started, dear students. The first one we will study is sentence. We say sentence. What is sentence actually? So we define sentence in so many ways. Like one of the way of the sentence is a group of related words that contains. What a sentence is a group of related words that contains at least one subject and one verb, or expresses a complete thought. So how do you define a sentence? A sentence can be called that sentence is a group of words which has one subject, at least one subject and one verb. It expresses a complete thought. It expresses a complete meaning, right? So in simple words, we can define sentence that sentence is a group of words which has subject and a verb and always gives complete meaning. So let me just take you to the word file. So we define sentence. There are some conditions that we have to consider them. The first conditions of the sentence are the first condition. Conditions of the sentence. Conditions of a sentence. What are the conditions of a sentence? The first one, a sentence should always have subject. Now, what is subject? We say that subject is simple definition can be subject is a door of an action. But if I say what can be subject, we say that noun and pronoun can be the subject of a sentence. Why do we use subject to base of a sentence? Where do we use subject before main verb? So these questions can be answered. So for example, I repeat myself. Why do we use subject? What is subject? Noun and pronoun. Why do we use subject to make base of a sentence? Where do you use subject before main verb? So noun and pronoun can be subject. So we define it. Subject is noun and pronoun, which is usually used before main verb to make the base of a sentence. That's the first condition. Any sentence which does not, we can say any group of words which doesn't have subject can't be called or cannot be called a sentence. Next we have verb. What is verb? In simple words, we say a word shows action, or it shows the state of being, it shows existence, right? So what is verb? We define it. Now, if there is a group of words which has subject but doesn't have verb, it's not called a sentence. We cannot call it a sentence. Now, the next one we have is complete meaning or complete thought, as it is said here. A complete thought. So complete meaning or complete sense. Complete meaning or complete sense. So a group of words which has with complete meaning can be called a sentence. Suppose there's a group of words which has subject and a verb but doesn't have complete meaning, we cannot call it a sentence. Remember, dear students, any kind of sentence should have these three conditions. If one of the condition is missing, we cannot call it a sentence. So first of all, the pronunciation is very important. Some of the students mispronounce the word. They say sentence. It's not sentence, it's a sentence. So sentence is a group of words which has subject and a verb and always gives complete meaning. So if there is a group of words which doesn't have subject, we cannot call it a sentence. If there's a group of words which doesn't have verb, we cannot call it a sentence. If there is a group of words which doesn't give complete meaning, which has subject and a verb but doesn't give complete meaning, we do not call it a sentence. A sentence is a group of words which have subject, verb, and complete meaning. So I repeat as myself, if any of these three conditions is missing, we cannot call it a sentence. So pay attention to this one. Now, contains at least one subject. Subject is must in a sentence, right? Expresses a complete meaning. I explained this. The students, we are not studying sentence in details. If we go into details, according to a meaning, we have got other type of sentence. According to structure, we have got another type of sentence, and according to formation, we have got a couple of other sentences. So here we are going to study, it's already said here, sentence structure. So we will study sentence according to structure, not according to meaning. So okay, in this slide we will study according to structure, not according to meaning. Like mostly we have got so many kinds of sentences. If I put them into count, so there will be 35 types of sentences. But here we will study, or we will be studying, or we will be looking at the most important kinds of sentence according to structure. So let's get started. The first one, there are four kinds of sentences. There are four kinds of main sentences according to structure. So we say according to structure means how a sentence is made, like how many things are got together and they form a sentence. So according to sentence, according to structure, we've got a simple sentence, we've got compound sentence, we've got complex sentence, and we have got compound complex sentences. So let's get started. We will study the first one. So before we start studying, we should focus on what? We should focus on the sentence writing rules, right? After sentence writing rules, we will come to the meaning, the types of sentences. The first sentence writing rule is a sentence should have at least one subject and a verb. As I said before, these are the conditions. Without subject, you cannot form a sentence. Without a verb, you cannot form a sentence. In any kind of sentences, there should be verb. Okay. Yes, we have got some minor and major sentences which have verbs, right? So which only subject is there, or maybe verb is there, but they are called and they are understood, so they are hidden. That's another sort of discussion. If you have any questions, you can put it there. Number two, or you can inbox me, I will get your question answered. Number two is a sentence should end with one of the punctuation marks. A sentence should end with a punctuation mark. It means that one of the punctuation marks should be used in a sentence. For example, punctuation mark can be dot, we study later on. A sentence can end with a question mark. A sentence can end with an exclamation mark, right? So these are the question mark. These are the punctuation marks. So a sentence should end any of the punctuation marks. Number three, there should be enough space between the words in a sentence. If you are writing a sentence, you should pay attention to the space of the sentence. You don't have to link these words in it, right? For example, look at the space here among these words. You see there, should, there, and then space, there is should, there is be. So you have to pay attention to the space of the sentence. You don't have to write the sentence together. You don't have to write the words together. There should be enough space so that one word is separated from the another word. Okay. Number four is a sentence should convey logical meaning. What should a sentence do? A sentence should convey logical meaning. Any sentence any group of words which contains illogical meaning cannot be called a sentence. So a sentence should always give rational and logical meaning. Number five, a sentence should be free of mistakes. So a sentence should not have mistake, right? For example, for the she, we use singular subject. You don't have to use plural subject for she in simple present tense or in present simple tense. For example, after can, we use base form of the verb. You don't have to use the second or third form of the verb after can. If you use it, it can be called a sentence, but it cannot called a complete sentence, or maybe it cannot called a sound sentence. It cannot called a proper sentence. It can be improper sentence. So, okay. Now next we have got the two parts of a sentence should be connected logically. The two parts of sentence. Suppose there are classes. It talks about classes. There's one dependent class, one independent class. If you connect them, they should give complete meaning, or they should be logically connected. For example, if I say I was sick. If I was sick, for example, if I was sick, I would fly. Now, if you were sick, you would fly. How is that possible? It's not logically connected. So you should say, if I were sick, I wouldn't come, or I wouldn't be able to come to class, like this. You don't have to say, if I were sick, I would fly. How is that possible? This sentence is not logically connected. Okay, the sentence should be logically connected. So, examples of the sentence. I hate cricket, so I play it every day. Now, look at this. If you hate something, so how could you play it every day? Now, this is a group of words. These are two sentences, but connected illogically. So, there is no logical connection between these two sentences. So, therefore, we cannot call it a sentence. It can be called a sentence. Semantically, it's wrong. Now, semantically means according to meaning, it's wrong. So, we call it, I hate cricket, so I play it every day. This is something that not possible. Like, it's an illogical connection between these two sentences. Example, I hate cricket, so I don't play it. So look at this, it's logically connected. I don't play it, so I hate cricket, so I don't play it. Now this sentence is correct. I mean, logically connected. So sentence should be logically connected. If a sentence which is not logically connected, we cannot call it a sentence semantically. It can be called syntactically a sentence, but not semantically. So next we have the types of sentences. So the type of sentences according to structure. So first we have simple sentences. So in writing English, all sentences contain a subject, verb, structure. The subject always precedes the verb, except in questions where the order is reversed. Remember that a simple sentence, it's actually always contains a verb and subject. The verb plus subject structure, like it's called a simple sentence, right? The subject always precedes the verb. So in simple sentences, the subject always is used before verb in simple words, except in questions. In question where the verb, which can be auxiliary, which can be main verb, like in state sentences, main verb can be used before, or it also called the to be verb. So while in other sentences, the question is used before. The verb is used before. In question, it's reversed. While in in positive sentences or statements, we use a subject plus verb structure. So we define simple sentence. We say that a sentence which contains one dependent class. A sentence which contains one independent class. A sentence which contains one independent class can be called a simple sentence. Now, the subject tells who or what did something. So in simple sentence, the subject tells us that who or what did something, like who did something. It shows that who did something, right? And what did something. What can be the passive simple sentences and active simple sentences. We have got two kinds of them in self. So I told you we are not studying in details. I'm just trying to get you familiar with the simple sentences. So the subject tells who or what did something. In simple sentence, the subject tells us that who did something or what something is done. In active simple sentences, who, and passive sentences, what. Okay. So the verb tells the action, work, thing, or condition, was, seem, appear. So in simple sentences, the verb, I said that, verb. Actually, verb tells us what is the work. It talks about thing, it shows action. For example, the verb shows action. For example, work, think, speaking, telling. These are shown by the verb, which is one of the part of the simple sentence. And the other is condition. A verb also shows conditions, as I said at the beginning of the lecture. Condition is like is, was, seem. They show the condition. Dear students, remember one thing. Keep in your mind bear in your mind that we are not studying sentence in detail. We are just studying as per the curriculum, whatever is in curriculum. So we are following that. So, like we jumped from we just talked about the definition of sentence, and then we just move on to the structure. We just didn't talk about the components of the sentence. We didn't talk about the predicate or verb. Suppose it in detail. So we just moved on. I told you we are studying as per the curriculum. So these are the that was a compound. Simple sentence. A simple sentence example can be, I study English, or I'm teaching English. You are listening to me, or I'm saying we are now discussing simple sentence, or this tutorial is on simple sentences. So now the other one is compound sentence. Compound sentence is, from the name it's clear, compound means two, right? So compound sentence composed of at least two simple sentences joined by a comma and a coordinating conjunction. In other words, a compound sentence contains two independent clauses, right? I said before, simple sentence contains one dependent clause, and compound sentences contain two independent clauses, or two simple sentences joined by comma and a coordinating conjunction is called what? Compound sentence. So coordinating conjunctions are fanboys, right? They are 7 in numbers. For example, and, but, so, for, nor, and yet. We can also call them fanboys. There is another full lecture on conjunctions. You can go to my YouTube channel, and there you can find the conjunction and its type. I have fully explained conjunctions, coordinating conjunctions as well. So now a sentence or two sentences, right? Two sentences, or we can say two clauses. Sorry for two sentences, but two clauses or two sentences can also be possible. Two clauses which are joined by coordinating conjunction can be called a sentence. For example, two sentences. He is a boy. He is lazy, but Mahmoud is lazy, but Ali is intelligent. Now two sentences are joined by but, so it's called a compound sentence. For example, I say the movie ended and the audience went, or the audience left the hall. So now you can see this two sentences joined by and, right? Okay, that's good. Now some sentences may have two subject verb structures, and both of these convey meaning that can sense by itself. There are some sentences which can have two subjects and two verbs, right? And both of these convey meaning that can be sensed by itself as well. In other words, there are two main parts in a sentence. The two parts may be joined by words like and, or, but, so, or by using a semicolon, right? This is a semicolon sign. We will study inshallah in details while we are studying the punctuation marks, okay? So a sentence, there can be two kinds of sentences, or two verbs which can be joined, or two subjects which can be joined by coordinating conjunctions, or one of the punctuation marks, which is a semicolon. The next sentence structure, you can see supporters of the Great Divide theory agree that something is lost as well as gained when people became literate. You can see this is subject, right? Supporters of the Great Wall theory. This is what? Subject. And agree. It's already written here. No need to underline it. Highlight them. So a verb, and that something is lost as well as gained when people become. This is one, and this can be another. But they consider. So but is what? But it's a coordinating conjunction. These two sentences are joined. But they consider it's worth losing some benefits in order to obtain many others. You can see that there are two sentences, or can be called two clauses. Can be called two independent clauses, or they can also be called simple sentences. They are combined or connected by the but conjunction. So both of them together called a compound sentence. I hope you understood this point. Sentence structure and joint sentences that are alike. And remember that coordinating conjunction and joins, in Americans pronounce and, while in British it's pronounced on. Joins sentences that are alike. They join two sentences that are alike. They have the same meaning, right? Sorry, alike means grammatical they are alike. Alike means the subject might be shared, verb might be shared, okay, like that. But for example, I study English and she studies Arabic in this case. But join sentences that are opposite or show in contrast. A sentence which show contrast or they have opposite meaning, they are joined by two, as I said before. So black, I like black, but she likes white. Now this one. So join sentence with the second sentence expresses the result of something described in the first sentence. In simple words, so joins the expected result. So shows the result, the expected result. For example, it shows there was a cause and there was a result. For example, in a very common one. So I didn't study, she didn't study an exam, or he didn't study an exam, or he didn't study for exam, so she failed. Now look at the cause was not studying and the result was failure. Okay, so now so joins two sentences, two classes, right? Independent classes. So it becomes one compound sentence. Or join sentence that give you choices or alternatives. So whenever you offer someone choices or alternatives, you have to use or. For example, you can sit or you can leave. So look at this. I give you two options, two choices. Now you can follow either of them. Now this is what? Compound sentence. Sentence structure yet has approximately the same meaning as but. That is, it shows contrast or joins opposites. Use yet when the second part of the sentence says something unexpected or surprising. Yet has the same usage as but, while they are different because it shows something which is unexpected or surprising. This is the only difference. For example, I say, everything is given in Quran, yet some non-Muslim don't believe it. So it's like yet combines two sentences. Two opposite sentences. For is the same as because, used for to introduce a reason or cause. So because is subordinate in conjunction. Remember, dear students, I told you there is a lecture on, there's a complete lecture or full lecture on this coordinating conjunction. For is the same as because, used for to introduce a reason. For example, I come here for I want to learn English, or you are watching this tutorial or video for you want to know more about sentence according to structure. Nor means not this and not that. Use nor to join two negative sentences. Nor used to join two negative sentences. For example, I say the teacher won't allow the students to come late, nor will he allow any student to go out. Now this nor joins two negative sentences. Sentence structure. Use a comma before coordinating conjunction in compound sentence only. If you want to join coordinating conjunction, if a sentence is joined by coordinating conjunction and the coordinating conjunction is used at the beginning of the sentence, so you have to put comma between these two classes, because you have to separate you have to separate these two classes. Do not use comma to join two words or two phrases in a simple sentence. So when two words, two phrases are joined in a sentence, we call it a simple sentence, and we don't need comma for that. Compound sentence, comma. Yesterday, look at this. We have to use comma as well here. It's missing, sorry. Yesterday, we went shopping, but we didn't buy anything. You see, this is independent class, and this is also independent class, but we have comma is used here before coordinating conjunction. But if you see supporting classes, if you see supporting conjunctions are used, then that's not called compound sentence, that's a complex sentence. We'll study later. Structure. The stores were crowded and they were noisy. You see this? Comma is used here. If you do not use comma, then that's not considered correct sometimes. We ate lunch and then we went. So see, the subject is shared, but the verbs are different. If the verb and subject are the same, then we call it simple sentence, not compound sentence. Sentence structure. Simple sentence, no comma. Yesterday we went shopping but didn't buy anything. Right? No comma. It can be called simple sentence. The stores were crowded and noisy. You see, the stores were crowded and noisy. Two words are joined. We call it simple sentence. Right? We ate lunch and then went home. So see, subject is not used here, so we call it simple sentence. Sentence structure, complex sentence. Many sentences contain more than one subject verb structure, but one of these parts, known grammatically as clauses, will convey the main meaning and will make sense by itself. So some verbs has two classes. One is dependent class, one is independent. Some sentences have two classes. One is called dependent class, one is called independent class. So when both of them are joined by subordinating conjunction, we call it a complex sentence, right? So I hope you understood here. Now look at the structure. One is the dependent part. Although findings of recent research have shown X, no control studies have been reported. So this is the other class and this is another class. This is dependent class and this is independent class. While both of them are joined by the subordinating conjunction, although we call it complex sentence. The main part of the sentence is also known as the independent part. This part is also called independent. In simple words, one dependent class, one independent class joined by subordinating conjunction is called a complex sentence, or can be called a complex sentence. Next we have sentence structure. Compound complex sentence is made up of more than one sentence joined by conjunction, and at least one of those sentences is complex. Okay, in simple words, compound complex sentence is a sentence which has two dependent clauses, two or more than independent clauses, one dependent class. A compound sentence is a sentence which contains one dependent class, two or more than two independent classes. In these examples, the dependent or subordinate clauses is underlined. You see, when I grew up, I went to a champion and my mom is proud of me. You can see this. This is a dependent class, this is one independent class, and this is another independent class. So we call it compound complex sentence. Another sentence, my friend invited me, my friend invited me and I didn't go because I was sick. You see this? Compound complex sentence, one dependent class, two independent classes. In these examples, the dependent or subordinate class is underlined. You see, we won the game, but my uniform was muddy because it rained the entire time. One independent class, another independent class, and this one is a dependent class. Yes, two independent classes, one dependent class. After our trip to the museum, school started back and I was excited to see my friends. So after dependent class, independent class, and independent class, right? So dear student, this was our today's lecture. I hope you understood sentence according to structure. Stay safe, stay happy, tata, goodbye.